Hi everyone, we're finally live. Yeah, sorry for the slight delay there, but technical issues. It's always it's technical issues. It's never the human's fault, guys. Remember, it's always the computer's fault. We always have to blame the computer. It's not my fault. It's not Darren's fault. It's not Pagan's fault. That's just how these things are, guys.
I'm an old fart, so just blame it on the old fart here.
No, we're not blaming.
Everyone blames it on the pagans.
We have to blame somebody, I suppose. Guys, we're just literally, obviously, this is a bit short notice, obviously, so I'll say thank you, Angry Pagan Daily and Daily Blase for coming at short notice. Their links for their YouTube channels are down below, so if you're not subscribed to their channels, what are you doing with your life, guys? Seriously. Of course, Friday Frolics is tomorrow, so you don't want to miss that tomorrow at 5 p.m.
I've got one little special clip just for you, Reganelite.
And unfortunately, I will not be able to watch it. I know. I was. I'm out for the. I'm actually going out. I will not be back till like 1 a.m. Friday evening. Like that's how late I'm gonna be.
Oh, so I have to watch it in a drunken stupor when you get back. Then
I will have to do that. 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm sure my missus will have no problem with that. Guys, obviously, I literally just thrown this together. We're basically just going to talk about some of the latest news that's been happening in the UK, and we may cover some stuff happening in America and the Middle East as well. Just for those who don't know, the Big Beautiful Bill has passed. Obviously, it passed the Senate, but I just wanted to just let you guys know that it did pass the House GOP. Unfortunately, so yeah, it only needs to go on Trump's desk and to sign it, and that's it. More Americans will die. So yeah,
there's environmental damage that's going to be caused by this as well.
Yeah.
Well, at least the eggs will be.
The eggs will be cheaper. Oh wait, I thought they went up again. Oh no, don't tell Trump that. It'll get bad. I'll get mad. That's what maybe someone should do. Just egg the White House with lots of eggs. You told us they were going down.
Look, catch.
Yeah, then Margaret Thatcher can feel sympathy with the White House, then, can't she?
I was just going to say hello to some of the usual people. Mikey Famine, hello there. Dave McGuinness, Jow, Billy Kershaw, Count Kiev, Alistair Keir there. Who else is lurking in the chat? Mel, I'm pretty sure I'm going to say your name well. Melzor, Ben Shaw. Let's see, you've got Mithril there. Good to see you there. And Archie Asimov. I think I've said that name right. Hello there. If I've said that wrong, I apologise. Pete's music's there as well. Pete, what is your music? Which I'm generally curious now because your name's Pete Music. What music? What is your music? Let us know down in the comments below. Probably. Guys, obviously this week has been a chaotic week for Labour. Pretty shambolic. I mean, like the whole welfare reforms that have been banging on and on and on for so long. They were told, like, hello, like, can you listen to us? Can you listen to the people who are going to be affected by this? Like, no, we're just going to keep ramming it through. And it's just like, we'll just make tiny amendments and you guys will still go for it, right? And it's just like, no, we're not. You're not listening to us again. So, and then all of a sudden, right in the middle of the debate, I don't know if you guys saw this, right in the middle of the debate, they made the big concession, and it was just like, what the
at least it happened.
Yes, at least
wouldn't have had it.
Yes, but it's what? Yes, I'm glad it happened. I just think it's like this is something you would expect like a reform government to do. I don't even think the Conservatives would be this perfect.
Oh no! The Tories did worse than this.
Well, no, I don't. What I mean is, we've never seen a political party do what they did, basically, and that is make a change right in the middle of a discussion.
With all of their austerity budgets, the Tories did worse than what Labour were proposing.
Oh yeah,
I've £12 billion they wanted cutting or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Unfunded tax cuts, basically, for the rich. No way to pay for it all.
Don't get me wrong. This is a fuck up on both number 11 and number 10. From what I get, there's good stuff in the bill as well. So the fact that weirdly, it's just as bad as this is looked for Labour, because Starmer's just listening to the wrong people, and Reeves is refusing to go for a land value tax for some reason at the moment, unless she's doing research on it first, but she hasn't said as such. But like, as bad as it is, I think this actually proves that our democracy is healthier than America's right now. Because it proves that the people are like over 120 Labour MPs and Lib Dem MPs and Green MPs that represent us, especially down in my area, were heard. We were heard, and it caused a change to actually be effective.
Yes, I get the point of like they were heard. I get that point, but it wasn't on the case of, it wasn't because of the morals. It wasn't because of the damage that it was going to do for disabled people or the effects it would have on Labour MPs. They did it. This was the only thing that I kept hearing from people before, during, and after it was this was all about savings. This was all about savings, and no discussion whatsoever about the impact. When there is literally an impact assessment that was saying that this many people, what is it, 250,000 people, was it going to be affected? Like
that's going to be
tens of thousands of children would be affected as a direct result of this. People would be pushed into poverty, and it's just just completely ignoring the assessment that's been put here. And it's just like, what the fuck are you guys doing? Like, are you not literally listening? You're not even paying attention to your own assessment here, and it's just complete. It's real ignorance from the people who made this decision.
But they're still beaten down on it by the fact that we actually have some democracy left in this country. Yeah, we have, like, yes, the government was still trying to push a policy based on just on savings, but they were still defeated on it. They had to make those concessions, right? Because our representatives that actually disagreed with that were listened to and got their way for the most part. Like, to me, this shows that our democracy is healthier than America's, at least right now. We wouldn't have this under the Tories. This wouldn't have happened under the Tories. Like,
I think it would have been the cuts could have.
One or two backbenchers try to rebel, and that'd be it. But no. Like, we had Labour backbenchers rebel. We had the Lib Dems and the Greens, and we were heard, and we were fine. We were actually listened to. We wouldn't have been listened to under a Tory government. Again, this isn't me defending the government's position because they were forced to change their position. My point is that I'm actually glad we have a parliament that has the constituency it does right now. I wish it was there was more for the Lib Dems and the Greens, but as it is, we still have a more progressive parliament than we would have had if the Tories had won the last election. This proves it. The fact that we managed to move a socially conservative Labour government on this, it is good.
As I was watching it live, and the more and more I watched it, the more I just thought, I'm not sure they're going to win this. No, my MP, Imran Hussain, he was not going to go for it. I saw plenty of others who were not going to go for it. I think the best speech was by Dr. Maria Tidball, I think. My God, she was passionate. That was.
Oh yeah.
She was basically fighting back tears, and I think that's the problem that he has. It's like he's more of a technocrat, and he's been in charge of a party that has a hell of a lot of MPs that yeah, let's put it this way: they are not technocrats. They vote with their conscience, don't they? They do not vote for alliance. You know, they don't vote. What's the word I'm after? They don't vote. There's a word I'm after. Loyalty. Loyalty can only go so much, can't it? And then
and to a level, you have to vote on the party lines if you've run as an MP for a certain party, but only to a point.
Yeah, loyalty only goes so far because they're the ones who are going to have to go back to their constituency and explain to them why did they vote for some legislation that's going to cut their PIP. That is the difference between surviving and thriving, isn't it, I suppose?
Yeah, and you're absolutely right, because obviously people forget that they still have constituencies to represent, and it's just like, you know, I actually generally think that there's this mindset within the Labour government that because they have such a massive majority, that they think they can carte blanche anything, and there'll be some rebellions, but nothing on the level that will basically force us to U-turn. And yet they've U-turned several times already on certain policies. So it tells me that they are not communicating enough with the rest of their MPs, because if they were communicating properly with them, they wouldn't have. If they weren't communicating enough with the rest of their party, I don't think they would have so many U-turns. I mean, and the word that sticks out to my mind is concessions. The thing that really, the thing that really, and I've said this so many times on so many videos and live streams, but the thing that angers me the most is just the lack of communication that they've had, not just with their MPs, but even with communities and people that would be deeply affected, not just by the welfare bill that they were introducing, but I mean, even like the winter fuel payments, like how much concessions and discussions were about those who were going to be affected there. And it feels like to a lot of people, this is not the same. Like, I know it's not the same Labour that they had 15 years ago, but it's like they don't, like, for some people, they honestly don't recognize this Labour Party from what it was so long ago.
And also there is a hell of a lot of MPs. They didn't join Labour to basically make the vulnerable and the poor even poorer. That's not what they joined the Labour Party for. They believed in the mantra, "We are the party of change."
Should have kept Sue Gray.
Yes. Yes, I
McSweeney and Glassman have been the most horrific advisors that Starmer could have.
Yeah.
He's just this blue Labour bullocks can fuck off.
Communicating with their MPs, Regan, it's a no-brainer. Yeah, but that's what they weren't doing. I mean, literally, for those who were watching on last night's live stream, like, we literally had an MP, one or two MPs, literally talking to the media after it all, basically saying they don't know what they voted for or voted against. They had no idea because they made changes right in the middle of the debate. So it's like, so what's happening? What am I voting for? Like, I don't understand. Like, I'm still going to vote no because I don't. I'm still going to vote no because I don't know anything about. Like, I don't know what's going on. It's just
evidently enough MPs were willing to at least send it to the Lords for it to be revised again.
Yeah. Graham Price there. Good to see you, buddy. Yeah. They should sack McSweeney, because clearly a lot of MPs have been attacking him, and Keir Starmer's like, get off his case, and it's like, well, he's obviously the one way giving you all the ideas, because I'm not seeing like Labour MPs targeting or going after the Chancellor or Prime Minister in particular. I know the media are going after Rachel Reeves right now, but it doesn't feel like to me like the Labour rebellion is like looking like to bring down the government, but they just kind of like they need something. They need something to change, and the one thing I've been hearing rumblings of is a cabinet reshuffle.
If there is going to be a cabinet reshuffle, there are at least 3 appointments that should not be changed. One, and the main one for me, is Ed Miliband. He needs to stay where he is.
Yep, 100% great.
Steve Reed of DEFRA needs to stay where he is. Some people might have some arguments with it, but I've actually been keeping a close eye on what DEFRA's been doing. And when the rich bastards the American fuckers who wanted to take over Thames Water were saying, "Oh, but we might need you to give us exceptions on the law," he went, "No, we will not give you exceptions on the law we just fucking passed, mate. You can fuck off." Like Steve Reed needs to stay in place, and Angela Rayner also needs to keep up. I
don't see Rayner moving. I don't see Rayner moving.
Either that, or if Starmer ends up being ousted, which at the moment I don't think it's going to happen quite yet.
No,
but if he does, I do want to see Rayner instead. She's shown evidence that she can that she's not willing. No, she's willing to argue with the Chancellor on her decisions.
Well, she showed that with the funding she got for the houses, didn't she? With her, she really haggled for the funding that she needed to build the 1.5 million homes. If she builds the 1.5 million homes, I will just say this because I said this on Dave McGuinness, the 2 Davies live stream earlier today. That if the Chancellor goes to Keir Starmer will go after, if that does happen. I don't like, for me it's just like how often do we see a Prime Minister or a Chancellor, one of the two, one of them goes and then the other one goes after. It's always the case of if the Chancellor goes, the Prime Minister is going to eventually go after at some point.
Well, mostly.
Yeah, I just don't see like I just don't think we still don't know what the reasons why Rachel Reed was in tears. And like I said, we speculate all we want about it, but
I mean, she could easily be being frustrated with herself because there is a whole load of good shit that Labour's bringing in, but she's gone and fucked up with the few bad policies that were absolute fucking clangers.
I heard a little something that it's sort of like, how can I put it? It sort of like rang true with me. I get the feeling, because like sometimes it happens to me, sometimes I'll be just sat there and you just get a wash of emotions just wash over you, and sometimes it can be for no apparent reason. I think the last time I remember, we were in Tenerife, if I remember, and I had to go into the room, into another side of the room, and I just sort of like burst into tears, and my wife came and says, "What are you crying for?" I said, "I just don't know. And I'm just wondering if there's a little bit of that maybe everything that's been going on, and then just emotions got the better of her. That, because I can imagine she'll have been working quite hard over the last how many days or so and so with everything that's going on, and I just think maybe there's a little bit of that in there."
Yeah, they are humans. We are like. Here's the thing. Like, I don't think Labour are as heartless and soulless and evil as the Conservatives or Reform UK would be. But I can understand, especially like, but I can get that premise if people feel that way, especially with this welfare reform bill and some of the negative, some of the decisions that they have made. I've not been fully on board with. Which I understand.
I left the party. I left the party after the trans business. Yeah, so I'm not like I might speak in favour of Labour to a point, but I left the party for a reason.
Like the thing is, like from Rachel Reed's point of view, like I mean, we have to like I'm trying to be careful here because it's like at the end of the day, if it's a personal matter, it's none of our business. But if it is part of the course, it's like, well, at the end of the day, like it is a very difficult job. But it is a very difficult and extremely stressful job for being the Chancellor of the Exchequer when you hold all the purse strings, so much money, and there's a huge amount of burden on your shoulders. But that is the responsibility that you have. And yeah, you're not. And when is ever a chancellor ever going to have everything perfect? There's always going to be things getting in their way, but there's always going to be things happening, both in the UK and outside the UK, that's going to affect your decisions. Nothing is ever going to be smooth sailing for any chancellor, even when things were not as tenuous as things have been the last 10 years. But this situation over this Labour government's coming, a lot of it has been unforced errors. I think, as Max puts it, and that's put them, and it's caused unnecessary stress and anxiety on her and on Labour MPs, and especially the British public, especially like the consistent stories, and you guys have heard them, the consistent stories of people stress and anxiety and of not knowing whether they're going to get their entitlements still the following month or well, they did say it wasn't going to be until next year, until these things come in, but still the anxiety and stress of not fully knowing everything was absolutely killing people. And it was just for me, it's just so heartbreaking, because it's not fair on them. And I know that Labour keep banging on about being the party of the working people. Yeah, of course you want to make sure getting people back into work, encouraging people into work, and helping workers succeed and whatnot. We're all for that. But we need to make sure that we are looking after those who are really struggling in society. And there is this pattern that I think that there is that since COVID, obviously lots of people went on the dole after it. But we also have to remember our healthcare service has been shattered to pieces as well. And there is going to take time for the healthcare system to recover. I mean, I literally was covering a video today about the NHS app was going to have this on the NHS app. They were going to add something called MyCare, which would essentially allow people to get all the prescriptions or make appointments, and not for people who don't even get paid as carers, to help people in the care sector, having all the information and data on the NHS app. Which I was like, this is great. This will help reduce, paperwork, reduce time on care workers, on people who care for people, and that stuff takes time. And the thing is that we don't have a lot of time. People are impatient.
The people are impatient, but unfortunately, these things necessarily take time. I mean, you want to get laws passed, it doesn't happen like that. It takes 6 months to a year to get laws passed. It's because we finally got a government that will, at least to a point, listen. And that was the expectation. That was part of the expectation of having a Labour government. Mm-hmm. A lot of people were going, well, they're a little bit. I've noticed a lot of people are paying attention to what the government's doing rather than just because there's less scandals. All the personals. Nearly every day under the Tories, every other day there was some Tory MP fucking out for some sex scandal, fucking corruption scandal, whatnot, right? We barely had any of that under Labour. So people, when they're looking at politics, they are actually looking more closely at what this government is doing, especially with the overcritical right-wing media.
Well, you may just underlook the scandals, but we've got to remember that massive scandal of them free glasses that Keir Starmer got. Yes, disgraceful behaviour. Mithril.
Honestly, you are not alone. Please don't. Honestly, please don't feel like that. Okay, you are not alone. There are lots of people who are feeling what you are feeling right now when it comes to universal credit. I want to make this clear to you right now, that regardless of whatever happens with this bill, the amendments and changes and whatnot, as of right now, nothing is going to change, and anything that changes to the welfare system is not going to be until late next year anyway. So between now and the end of this year, you have nothing to worry about in terms of your income. Please, please, please try not to stress too much about it. I know it's hard to. And just remember that there's always people out there to talk to if you need to talk to anyone, okay? Honestly, my friend, you're not alone here. There are lots of other people who are in the same situation as you. So please don't feel like that you are alone.
I'm on disability universal credit myself. I'm not like, you know, don't think that I'm looking at it from some kind of privileged position. Like I get disability, I'm on disability universal credit myself, but from what I can gather with what's gone through, disability universal credit will go up.
Yeah, and I also don't think he'll go. I don't think he'll leave the Labour Party. Will go anywhere near this again. Because the amount of mess, the embarrassment that they've caused themselves, I don't think they'll touch this with a 10-foot barge pole again.
I hope they don't make necessary. I like. The thing is, there are some changes that they're making which are good, but the thing is the PIP, the thing that really infuriates me the most, because they're trying to make it more difficult to claim, and it's just like you're not resolving the situation around welfare. And the Conservatives keep banging on about cutting the welfare bill, and I'm saying you can't cut the welfare bill. You're not going to stop people.
The only way it will be cut is by, you know,
throwing people out on the street.
Well, no. The only way that the welfare bill will come down, like properly, is because unless what I'm about to say happens, their welfare bill is just going to go up because the population is still continuing to grow. Even though the birth rate is down, we are still. The population, there's still going to be more and more old people, there's still more people being born, right? The welfare bill is going to continue going up. However, if the NHS can be successfully reformed in the way that, from what I can gather in the changes stuff, from what I'm hearing, good, right? If Labour can get this stuff done, then there will be less need to be on welfare for a lot of people, especially if the mental health reforms, which I heard are coming in.
Yeah, they've spoken. They've been talking a lot about mental health. Even before they got elected, they were talking about mental health. They've been talking about it since they come into power, and it is a big issue, and it is a barrier for a lot of people. Even though they may not have a physical disability, the mental health is a barrier for people to get into work.
It's the best way to bring it down.
Yeah, and we need to. Okay, so they can't do certain jobs. Okay, what jobs can we find them in? And I've said this so many times. It's about like treating everyone on a case-by-case basis, and from a humanity point of view. Okay, how can we help this person? Not just getting them back into work. How can we do it in such a way that we can help them into work that they will be comfortable with, while also making an income for themselves, making something of themselves, rather than just being stuck at home.
This is why the right to try policy is fucking, for me personally, I love that policy, because there's a few times where I wanted to go down to the local zoo and get a form and fill it in so I can try to get a job down there, but like, especially during the heat, it's just no good for me. But like, I still want to try and do that job. Because I don't know if I'm just going to immediately lose my benefit as well. I'm like, well, I don't want to go down there, like, even for it to get a volunteer form and lose my benefits because of it, because I'm trying to see whether or not I'm fit enough to work again.
Yeah, there needs to be what there needs
to try policy. Yes.
Yeah, it has to be done in a way where people going into work are not going to be like, oh, you're in work, we're just going to take the payments away. No, it can't be like that. Yeah. It has to be slow. It has to be gradual. You've got to give it, like, I would go as far as to say 6 months to a year before you completely take them off it, because you're helping them unless, of course, there are financial issues that they can't completely come off it. Then obviously they can have discussions about what we can do to help them if we can't get them off, if they are struggling and they need to be, if they're still doing the job and on universal credit, because there's a lot of people who are in that situation where they need the entitlements as well as work, in order to pay for their bills. That's a big problem, and it ties in, of course, to the whole cost of living crisis, which people still don't talk enough about, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're getting like I'm still keeping to what I said last year, where I'm going to give it a year and a half to 2 years to see the policy, the bills become law. These changes and these these changes that Labour are looking to do to actually take effect before I will truly judge them. Because it's futile to do otherwise. And from what I've been gathering, whilst you've got these complete fucking horseshit policies like the winter fuel policy, which wasn't complete horseshit, she just set the bar way too low. What she's done by raising it is a good thing.
I blame the Treasury more than anyone for the changes to the winter fuel.
And then this, the trans stuff is just that's why I left the party. And then this welfare thing, right? But they've checked, those three in isolation. I mean, you've got their environmental policies have been good and need to get better, but they've been really good so far. Especially now we've got more funding for badge vaccinations. Green energy, like Ed Miliband's having a great time fucking pushing on that one. Rayner's been successful in getting her policies pushed forward. I think Yvette Cooper is having major issues, but from what I can gather, she's dealing with the backlog the Tories left, which is good.
Yeah, I just think she's completely destroyed her reputation with what she's been doing with Palestine Action.
Yeah, from what I got, Phil said that apparently destruction of government property is actually there's something to do with destruction of government property
under
the Terrorism Act.
Under the definition of Terrorism Act, and it's on the government's website, damage to property does categorize as terrorism.
I don't think that's right, by the way. I don't think that's right, but that could be what they've gone under. But I do think it's wrong to have classed them as terrorists.
Yeah, well, Dan, what do you make of Palestine Action? I mean, obviously, I don't know them as well. I don't know how well you know of them yourself, but
I watched the last bit of the debate about it on Wednesday, and let's just say a lot of people kicked off. John McDonnell, he kicked off. Zara Sultana kicked off. Is it is her name Carla Denia?
I didn't hear. Well, I watched it there was Declassified UK had a video of most of the people who were talking on it.
What they basically did, they basically tarred Palestinian Action with one or two other, I forgot, some Russian organization,
They smeared it with two other really bad groups, basically.
Yeah, and they were not happy. And John McDonnell, he was absolutely going apeshit. He basically said, "So if I walk out this, because there were, as far as I know, they were protesting against this, for Palestine Action outside. So if he says, if this goes through and I walk out that door and join that protest, will I be arrested then?" And it was trying to think of the guy who was.
I don't know what minister he was, but he's arguing over.
I wonder if he was the Labour MP for Exeter, but I can't think of his name if I remember rightly.
I'm sure someone in the chat will mention the MP.
But he was going over, and he was asking him to give away, and he wouldn't have it. He was having none of it.
Yeah.
And he was going apeshit. Was John McDonnell?
Yeah. I saw the clip yesterday, and it was just like.
I think that's in poor taste, really.
And I think what was the interesting one was when Diane Abbott asked a question, and how he responded to that to basically say, if it was a different ideology, you guys would not be kicking off about it. And I am, because I was looking at some of it from last night on my live stream last night, and I said, and I literally said this, and I'll say this to those who are here: if that had been a Jewish group doing the exact same things that Palestine Action have done, I'd be saying the exact same things, because they haven't caught. Because if it doesn't matter what ideology they are, unless they've actually caused terror to people, isn't that literally in the word terrorism? I mean, they haven't. Like they claim that they have. I mean, I said last night and I said it today, I've not seen evidence of them actually terrorizing people specifically that I know of. But the minister made that claim when he was arguing the case for it. I don't know what his evidence to support that. Maybe somebody in the chat knows evidence of where Palestine Action have directly terrorized people or brought harm to people. But what they've been doing, as far as I'm aware, is no different than any other group. And it sets a dangerous precedent that if this can happen to Palestine Action, this can happen to Greenpeace. This can happen to Extinction Rebellion. This can happen to any group.
Something happened in, was it Belgium, I think it was, where a group similar to Palestine Action stormed a base that was like what they thought there was supplies going to Israel. It wasn't. It was like it was like stuff to go to Ukraine, and they sabotaged it. And it's suspected that these people, whilst they, I think it was unknowingly, but it's suspected the Russians directed them that way and told them like, oh, this stuff's going to Israel. So they went and fucking stormed this place. And this happened before what happened in the UK. Now, again, I would say this doesn't justify it. I would argue that just because that happened in Belgium doesn't mean that's the same here. But that could be part of where the Home Office is coming from on this, because that also happened.
No, I generally believe that Yvette Cooper, like other Labour ministers, have accepted donations from friends of Israel.
It seems very
Without evidence, I'm not going to go on spurious claims.
If I'm honest, it just seems quite a cynical thing to do, what the government did with Palestine Action in this.
I'm just saying that there is evidence to show that a group like Palestine Action was used for these purposes in another country.
Yeah.
Just before this happened. So, like, that could be, again. I'm not backing the decision to have done this. I'm not.
No, you're not. I know you. We know you're not. We know you're not.
All I'm saying is that this, I do think, is a genuine position that the Home Office could have taken.
Yeah, and as Smith reminds everyone before I get to that super chat, the internationally recognized definition of terrorism is acts of violence intended to create fear and intimidate populations or governments to achieve political, religious, or ideological goals. And in part, damage to property or vandalism does count as that. But it is only, but under UK law, but it is only one part of what the definition of terrorism is there. Alistair Keir, thank you for £10 super chat. Friend says, so is this precedent of what they did on Palestine Action means that anyone at a protest, if they damage property, are now domestic terrorists and charged under that? They can do that if they want to, if they were under that premise.
Yeah,
under that premise they can.
This is why it's such a stupid decision.
Yeah,
because I don't think that I don't think that they will, and
I think
this position that I think that Labour are really confused. I think on Israel. I'm not going to go down the whole thing of Israeli donations because I want to see actual evidence of that first. I'm sorry, but that's the position I'm taking as a scientist. I want to see the evidence of that. I'm not just going off of claims, especially when it comes to Yvette Cooper, for example. I do think they are confused on it because on one hand, there's still that European guilt that I think needs to be fucking dealt with from World War II. Yes, we should have done better by the Jews back then, but that does not give carte blanche to what Israel is fucking doing now.
Yeah, that's right. Pete's music. If you trod onto a flower bed at a demo, wham, yes, you're a terrorist now. That's it. Too late. I know.
But then something just occurred to me that with what was they've been accused Labour of being one-sided when it came to putting was it Lucy Connolly and others away for inciting violence and whatnot. And one thing that sticks out to me on that is that at the beginning of the prime ministership, Starmer said he was going to do this not on ideological lines. He was going to go by consensus, and I think that's part of that's a big flaw in his prime ministership, that he's not going by ideology, and that he's trying to go, but if we're going to go after right wingers, we'll have to look at the left wingers as well, and I think that is very flawed.
I haven't seen that, but that must have been just now then, if that's true. Zara Sultana has resigned from Labour, according to Terry Regan there.
It doesn't surprise me.
That wouldn't surprise me if it was true. I haven't seen that confirmation, but it might have just happened. Possibly. But yeah, she I don't know how she
the Tories and
Labour for as long as she has.
Anti-Semitic for putting the sanctions on Ben Gvir and Smotrich. Like the Labour were getting accusations of being fucking.
Yeah.
No. Beer and bacon is never terrorism. Never.
Yes, because you're against you've got to be vegan. If you're not vegan, you're a terrorist now. that's a Greta Thunberg and all the green and all the vegans out there saying you're eating meat. We're branding you terrorists.
Yeah. That'd be great for the green movement, wouldn't it? It's fine. I do think there is a point where you're not that to a point. These groups don't help themselves if they go too far because they don't like that. Our public has shown that if you go too far, they're not going to. The public's just not going to back you. Whether or not your movement is just, and I do think Palestine Action is a just movement. Some of the actions that people like them and say Greenpeace or Just Stop Oil or whatnot, there is a point to where the public is just going to go I agree with you in principle, but what you taking it too far, and I agree it's way too far to call them terrorists.
According to Classified UK, Israeli lobby funded half of Keir Starmer's cabinet. That's a problem and evidence.
I want to see that evidence.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure they can check the information from them there. We'll check them out there on that. Just before we'll be on this as well, I think was it Richard Burton, the Labour MP, made an interesting speech as well.
What, an actor, Richard Burton?
No, not Richard. I'm getting his name.
Richard Bergen.
Bergen, that's it. Yeah, that's his name.
I'm
not as good as remembering all the to remember all of them all. But I thought his speech was pretty good because he made the point, and this was a very valid point, of course, that in the future Labour are not going to be in power. So it's either going to be the Conservatives or it's going to be Reform. And giving kind of setting this precedent, what's to stop parties like them doing the same thing, and he's right.
I don't think Labour's losing the next election yet. I'm sorry.
Well, not the next election, but they're not going to. It's not going to be like we're going to have 10. It's not going to be like going to have 20 years of Labour. Something's going to change.
No, but we never know. You never know. Reform might crumble. There
is no justification for eroding civil liberties. Absolutely, there is no justification for it.
No, again, I'm not. I am personally not trying to justify it. I'm just trying to give. There are logical reasons for the government arriving at the position they did, which are still they're still wrong, but they're still in the government's eyes logical reasons to have gone down that line. They're wrong, but that's what I think happened.
Have you heard about this, Darren? I've heard some of the news about this, that Jeremy Corbyn was going to be starting a new political party. Are you aware of this?
Is he getting round to it or not?
I saw a little snippet. I've heard little snippets here and there, but I've not really taken that much interest.
Is he going to get?
Because I've been hearing this for ages.
Yeah.
Did we hear this last year or something? Oh, he's starting a new party. Not heard now, so I'm just in there. I believe it when I see it.
I know Ben Habib's got his own party. I think Rupert Lowe's got his own party. What are their names again? I need to watch that LBC video again.
Then did I hear one of them was called Reclaim?
Restore.
Restore
Yeah,
Restore UK.
UK.
Like very creative ideas. You know, you know what they could have done. They could have. Do you know what they really could have done if they really wanted to be clever? They could have asked. They could have asked a bunch of school kids to give them names for a political party, and they would have come up better names than the ones they came up with.
Yeah, the other one, CUK.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like all these different little groups, and it's just like, yeah, it's not really going to make too much of.
To be honest, I've been sort of like as a bit of a guilty pleasure. You know, sometimes how the algorithm works.
Yeah.
And as I've said, I did a bit of a live stream a week on Tuesday, and a few months back, you know, I was sort of like pondering about looking for bits of material, you know, see if there's anything interesting for a content idea. And
then you see Reganelite has sent you another funny video on Twitter to use for Friday Frolics.
Oh, they're always helpful, you know. Much appreciated. But I saw this little thing. It said, anyone from Reform wants to take me on some sort of live stream. It happened about a couple of days before. So I thought, oh, don't know, never heard this before, so I thought I'd watch it. And let's just say it was down. To say it was down the rabbit hole was an understatement. He was a UKIPper. And to say it was bonkers. And let's just say I was in hysterics laughing. I was giggling away to a point where my wife would say, "What the hell are you laughing at?" And I says, "This clown here, a Rupert Lowe fanatic, and he thinks that Rupert Lowe should be the leader, and basically he's the best prime minister we've never had." Oh, it is just hilarious. Oh, it gets, apparently, you may mock and laugh, but did you know we live in a communist state?
No!
Yes, according
the Soviets got to us!
Yes.
Damn!
This complete lunatic thinks we live in a communist state. Keir Starmer is a communist.
Oh. Yes. It's because he nationalised the rail services. He must be a commie.
So in the end up, I wrote a comment, you know, congratulating him on his hour of comedy. I said, "You should be a comedian because your stand-up kept me entertained for a full hour, and I'm looking forward to your next live stream." Well, he absolutely lost his marbles, called me all names under the sun, and he wasn't happy. So I replied, "Whoops, I seem to have upset a snowflake here." so anyway, I've been
that is fucking great.
bumping into a couple of odd. He does a couple of odd 4-minute videos, and so I watch odd one now and again. Anyway, started one where he basically was talking about that those on the right have got 16 mini parties, and he couldn't understand the reason why they've got so many parties. And it's about ego, isn't it? That's all it is. It's about ego. Because why do you think Ben Habib started a party? Because he's irrelevant.
Yeah, I want to be irrelevant. People should talk about me again. I mean, who's the guy still looking for a job that just should start his own political party? Who's the former Conservative from Stoke-on-Trent?
Gurning Gullis.
Yes.
That's it, Jonathan Gullis, the Gullis Party.
Yes.
the howler monkey, the former howler
And
monkey.
that's all.
Oh.
He can't get it. He couldn't get it into his thick skull that the reason why there's 16 odd of these other parties, because it's about ego. They all want to be the main person, the main man.
Yep.
and because Nigel Farage won't allow them because he wants to be the main man, they will form their other party, and he's absolutely devastated that there's going to be all these fragmented parties, and he's basically saying, if we don't unite, then the commies will be forever in power. Yes. Because I'll tell you. Did you? Any of you guys see? We all know Donkey Dave, don't we? The legend that is Donkey Dave.
Yes, he is the legend, of course.
Yes, he turned up at a march in Chesterfield. Something to do, like in solidarity for the Palestinian people. He turned up.
Yeah.
And he's there with his Palestinian flag T-shirt saying "Free, Free Palestine," and he's there spoken. He said he's there waffling on and talking about people who are rather jovial, and these were just compassionate, people in the. I wouldn't say twilight of the years, but I would definitely say the retirees and stuff like that. And they're showing solidarity for the Palestinian people. We talked about, and then he says there's some clown across the road videotaping us. He's got his phone out, just filming us, whatever. And there was some strange notion that something twigged in my head, and I'm thinking, I have a funny feeling I know who that clown is. Anyway, when Donkey Dave finished it, you know how the algorithm works. This clown's live stream just pulled up at the same place. It was him stood across the road at Pelican Crossing, just live streaming them, calling virtual signalers and champagne socialists.
Let me guess what he's saying in the commentary. We can see Hamas are gathering in this field. It's terrible. These Hamas supporters, they're ready to apply what is it, Sharia law upon us if we don't stop them, guys.
And they were, and of course, and I just found it hilarious because he was just rabbiting on, and there was two young ladies. I think they're more probably no higher than 5'6",
Okay.
No 100-pound drip wet, because I think it was a double road, like, and they had an island in the middle, and they had a big banner saying "Care not kill" or something like that. Because they crossed the road, he got into his head that they were doing that to intimidate him.
Oh.
And there was one, he's off his chomp. There was one point where he was filming these clowns and just shouting just obscenities and acting like an idiot. And an old guy, I bet he was in his 70s, possibly early 80s, he was ready to cross the Pelican Crossing. Probably thought, is this Herbert? So he got his phone out and took a picture of him. Because he took a picture of him, because he'd been shouting at anybody who was asking him why he filming it. I said, you're in the public place, do whatever I want, do whatever. But because this old bloke did the same, he squared up to him. Squared up to this guy.
I'm allowed to video here, but you guys aren't allowed to take a picture of me. That's basically the premise of it?
Yeah, and that's only, he spent an hour and 20 minutes on live, basically filming a group of people who were, showing solidarity towards the Palestinian people.
is just looking for anything and anything a reason to attack people or just to get any kind of crazy content out there. It's really sad, because the thing is that as you rightly said, like, people on the right are motivated by the money and the greed, because as you said, the algorithm, it drives people. Like, if I switch to the right, I probably could I'll be pushing hell like mad, trying to get money and all that kind of stuff, because that's what they're really motivated by. I don't think it's always to do with ideology. I just think it's always to do about money as well.
Yeah, because like a couple of weeks ago, I just stumbled across his live stream. He seemed to be out somewhere, so I wondered where it was. It was in Nottingham, where UKIP were doing a anti-illegal immigration march, and to say
with 20 other people.
To say it was hilarious was an understatement. The guy spent more time wandering around what the police were doing and videotaping, live streaming, what he classed as the Great Unwashed, because they had a guy with a mega, like Donkey Dave does, wakey, wakey. Yeah. He had one, and they were singing all these songs, and it's got there's the communist left there, the Great Unwashed. And that's all he ever spent his time doing. And
my 14-year-old brother has better political instincts than these fucking morons who are fully girls.
Yeah,
he's taxi driver that takes him to school in the morning. Apparently a right winger. My brother's been telling him, like, mate, you can vote Farage all you want. He's not going to help you. You can vote for these. Right, you can tell me that these right wingers are great all you like, and how we're living in a communist like hellscape, but we're not. This is my 14-year-old brother.
Do you know what? Do you know what we could really do to trigger those people? We could just do like an AI imagery of Joseph Stalin replacing Winston Churchill in his spot, and then if you just put that out there, it would just be the rage would be just hilarious.
Oh, well, you know me and my sort of like juvenile sense of humour and my sense of adventure. I thought, shall I join the chat? Shall I join the chat?
Oh, if you dared, go on then.
So I did. I said, can I ask what's the point of this march? Because it just seems to be a lot of people draped in the Union Jack, shouting football songs. Why don't you just go watch a football match? You can do that there to your heart's content.
But they'd have to pay for it, though. But they have to pay for that, where they could just go out and walk for free. Why would they want
season tickets? Well, anyway, didn't get a reply. So I said, so that's what it basically is. Just all meeting in a small place in Nottingham to shout football songs, wave flags, and shout.
And then after a couple of hours, when nothing has happened, they say, "Shall we go to the pub for a beer?" Then, yeah, let's go.
Yeah, probably will be. Well, anyway, one guy said to me, "said What should I do? What should you keep doing?" I said, "Well, they maybe should have a coherent plan." And maybe stop following a guy who's thick as mince, having you wander around a town centre in a small corner flag shagging. And then as it all went off, one guy, when Nick Tony, whatever his name is, Nick Ten Culty or whatever his name is there talking about, we're living in a communist state and communism this, communism that, and the radical left this and radical left that. Some guys said I was disillusioned, so I just replied, mate, I'm not the one who's listening to a clown who's talking about us living in a communist state, you idiot. Then I got a warning from one of his moderators,
I can't believe people are trying to
trolling. Yeah, for apparently trolling.
He has moderators. He has moderators as well. Oh, I thought this was a guy that had just 5 to 10, 5 or 10 viewers, but apparently he's got loads of people. Then
I think he had the one, and he basically said, if you don't pack it in, I'm going to put you on the naughty step practically. And I said, so much freedom of speech that you.
What about my freedom of speech that you're so passionately fighting for, and you want to take it away from me? You're a liar. You're the real commie here.
Yeah. Call me a lefty cocksucker.
Okay.
Yeah, and all that stuff. And yes, basically. And somebody, clearly he just very quick-witted. He said, DB, go eat a salad. So I replied, well, I'm at the moment, I'm eating a chicken biryani and supping in a pint of Madrid, enjoying this absolute comedy gold. And you know what he said? Oh, I've subscribed to your channel. So it wasn't a total loss. He's probably unsubscribed now, but
it's like the most toothless way. This is the most toothless attempt to start a Red Scare that I've ever heard. Like, what the fuck?
Oh god, people are funny. People are funny, guys.
Yeah. But yeah, that's all it was. We just, from what I heard, from what I looked, there were about 50 people that turned up for this march. Is there shouts there? Roaring about none of those on the Great Wash on the left had a British flag, but he didn't have a problem with a woman.
Very important question, Darren. Very important question. How many black people did you see at the march?
I think it might have been less than one.
Okay.
Yes. But
this is something that I always like to put. So whenever Reform or anybody on the right, they have their events and that, I'm like, how many black people are there? And that tells you a lot about their agenda, doesn't it?
Every now and again, you do see a couple, but it's like, I don't understand.
Okay, I haven't seen them personally, but I'm just putting it out there. Okay.
Yeah, well, I didn't see any.
Okay, and we are humbled by a dog, guys.
Yes, but anyway,
he had a bad day.
He's there saying,
"Dog's had a bad day."
Yeah.
Dog's had a bad day. We thought she'd swallowed the tablet and she hadn't, and we didn't know that she hadn't. So she's been to the vets and had her stomach pumped for nothing. So she's not so angry at me. But yeah, it's not playtime, you muppet.
She had to have an injection to make her sick. She had to have the thermometer up her bum. And then when we got
straight talking from the southwest, yeah.
And then when I got back, I'm like having to syringe this black charcoal stuff into her mouth.
Okay.
And then I came back and like searched the front room.
And there's the tablet on the sofa.
I'm that relieved though that she didn't take it. I'm not even worried about the 150 quid today cost me.
This is the reason why we join political live streams for.
Oh dear.
Hey, look, this is what you get if you talk to someone from the southwest, right?
Yeah.
But like as I said, he was there roaring about no one on the left were flying enough British flags, but didn't have a problem with standing next to a person practically draping herself in the Israeli flag. And the only reason why she did that because she wanted to trigger the left. What a waste of time, UKIP are they?
Yeah. They can stay in the corner. I'll tell you someone who needs to stay in the corner. Well, actually, because I'm going to just switch gears a little bit, guys. Switching the gears a little bit. Well, I wouldn't say stay in the corner, but I really would like to see this man in prison more than anything. Is Matt Hancock. So I don't know how many of you guys listened to him at the COVID inquiry this week, but obviously he was basically saying that that it was the least worst solution that of putting people into the care homes. It was the least worst decision.
So I heard.
Apparently, and he was critical, and he also tried to claim that some people weren't on the inquiry as well. I can't remember what group it was he said on there, when literally the judge said, no, those people have already had their case. and then he quickly tries to switch gears and try not to look like a complete and total muppet in front of everyone on national television. And it's just like, man, I hated him then, and I see him again. I hate him even more now. And I just like to say to myself, I just like to say to me myself, really, like, this guy has no remorse. This guy does not care. There's no like, I'm really sorry that people die.
It's even more
just
sick that he ended up on fucking I'm a Celebrity. Like, it's just like.
But even on there, he was a fucking robot.
Well, this is what I mean, but it's sick that that he got himself on that in the first. I can't just. I still can't believe that they allowed him to do that. And I had some of my mates who fucking watch it, and they're saying to me that, like, it's like when Nigel Farage was on there, like, oh, he comes across as a real person. He's a fucking wealthy shill, you fucking retards.
We couldn't even have human conversations with him because he was so robotic on the bloody show that I don't watch I'm a Celebrity, but if you saw clips of him on there having conversations with other celebrities who actually talk like normal people, it was like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Why can't you just like be a human? Like, you're not a politician. You're a normal person. You can have normal conversations. But he didn't want to. He wanted to continue being his robotics himself. And I'm just like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, what a waste of money from ITV it was.
Yeah. Didn't Boy George give him a volleyful while he was there with him? At Bangkok. I thought he did. I didn't watch it myself, but I just saw the headline.
Sometimes I do wish that I could that I wouldn't be so that I wasn't quite as abrasive as I am, because I'd love to become an MP and I know I can shout a lot louder than a lot of people. Like, everyone I know, pretty much no one can shout louder than me. So I'd love to have a go in Parliament. This
is 100% true, Graham. It's not that he has no remorse; it's that he doesn't even think he did anything wrong. Exactly. This is exactly it. He doesn't think that what he did was wrong. He doesn't think that he thought everything we did was the best thing he could have done. And it's just like, everyone is telling him, no, you're wrong. But in his head, he thinks it's right. And it's like, no, you're wrong. Like, everyone is telling you you're wrong. And sometimes you have to admit you're wrong. But because of who the fuck he is, because of his background, because of the way he was raised, because of his lifestyle, he thinks that he's in the right.
Private school mafia.
Private school mafia.
I was just about to ask, is he in the private school mafia?
I think
I'm 95% sure that he was in the private.
Pretty sure Graham said he's on the list.
He's probably on the list, yeah.
Because like they do have that mentality where when they got they have it pushed on them, they're born to rule, aren't they?
Yeah, I just like on the COVID inquiry. Obviously, I've not been paying as much attention to it as other things, but obviously when it does come to an end, I mean, I'd like to say there's going to be some repercussions, but because of the politicians involved, I don't see it happening. It's just, I just wish more lives could have been saved. And I said this yesterday with regards to the COVID inquiry. Like, for me, I just like they left the NHS in the state it is granted, but in that scenario, they chose to make a conscious decision to allow the infection to spread when they could have left them in the hospital beds. Yes, the NHS may have been more overwhelmed as a result of not releasing them into the social care sector. I agree with that. But then you would have not had it spreading across the social care sector if you had not done it, which would have, in my view, saved more lives.
Well, if I'm honest, I'm not surprised that they did have that mentality. Who was the leader at the time who basically said we should open the borders and just take it on the chin?
Yeah.
What's more darkly hilarious to me is at the same time, basically, this evidence was coming out, or a day after this evidence came out from the inquiry on Monday, Tuesday, Kemi Badenoch in the Commons was saying, "Thank God the Tories were in charge during COVID."
Oh that's the comment.
Are you fucking kidding me?
That was the clip I was trying to find so desperately to do on yesterday's live stream. I desperately was trying to find that clip and I couldn't find it anywhere.
I was going to do something about it, but I was stuck in Weymouth.
where the nerve, the absolute nerve of that fucking woman. The former Women and Equalities Minister who accidentally nearly missed a load of fucking protections for women being kicked out when they did all that fucking, getting rid of the European rights.
Just before we move on, just before we completely move on from Hancock and the COVID inquiry, I just want to point out as well, Boris Johnson criticised the care sector, basically saying they should have taken more care of themselves at the time as well. While he was saying they need to do their jobs properly or something along those lines. Basically, he said in one of the videos. It's just like, it's not our fault. You guys aren't doing your jobs properly, and it's just like, fuck you. We're trying our best here, and these people are dying in our arms. Fuck you. Like,
I remember having arguments in the middle of the pandemic when this was happening. I remember having arguments with right wingers, and we knew this was happening. And I was having arguments with right wingers who were telling me, "Oh no, it's all bullshit. It's the left wing media telling you all this." I'm like, the media's not fucking left wing.
Thanks for a reminder, Alistair Keir. The £5 super chat. They passed a bill to make it illegal to pursue a case for them for wrongdoing. I remember that just before lockdown. Even if they did, I didn't think they'd be able to chase them anyway, because they would find ways to get around it in some way, shape, or form, because these are politicians after all. And politicians can get away with anything, especially more powerful ones. So, but thank you for that £5 super chat.
Yeah.
Dear. How are things going in America, guys?
Oh God. Oh God. Freak, help us.
The big beautiful bill. Have you read? What do you think of the big beautiful bill? Do you think it's beautiful, Darren? Do you think it's really nice and beautiful?
Apparently, an amendment. The Democrats managed to get one amendment passed on their own side, and that was to change the name of the bill.
Yes, because that was the most important.
Well done.
Yeah, well done, Chuck Schumer, who does fuck all for the Democrats. Yeah, we did it. We changed the name of the bill. See, we Democrats, we can get things done. See,
Reganelite, you missed one spot. What important bit? You've got to put your glasses right down to the end of your nose.
Oh yeah.
And you go,
The Republicans are doing absolutely terrible here with this terrible bill.
You look like him. That was scary.
Sorry, but
Chuck, he is a nasty person, Chuck Schumer. Don't think just because he's a Democrat, he's a good guy. He's not.
No. We need people like Mamdani. We need more people like Mamdani to take over the leadership.
He's literally public enemy number one in the US right now. On both sides of the house.
yeah.
Dude,
The Democrats will not back him. The Democrats are not backing him.
Well, not. Hang on. He has gotten endorsements from the younger ones.
Yes, but the ones, the higher ups, the ones who control the party, they're not backing it. And the problem and the reason why is because of the Zionist and Israeli lobbies within the Democrats who have an iron grip in the party.
It's still promising though. I don't think they can't oust him from his position now.
Who said they were going to oust him? Donald Trump's just going to find a way to deport him.
I don't. I very much doubt it. He's on the bill now for the election. He's going to be. I very much think that he is going to be the next mayor of New York, and I don't think that that the establishment Dems or the Republicans can do fuck all about it.
What do you make of Mandambi from what you've heard from him, Darren?
Can't trust him. Have you seen the way he eats? That's the reason why the right wing.
Did he eat a bacon salami like Ed Miliband?
No, even worse. He ate his dinner with his hands. Disgraceful. Can't be seen doing that. That's just not etiquette, is it?
That's just too much.
Did you guys see the video he did with the whatever famous TikTok or whatever? They were walking all the way down through New York, just talking to people in the street.
Yeah.
He's very charismatic and he just knows what to say, and he just and he just looks comfortable around people. Very comfortable around people.
Every time he's on an interview or they think they've got a gotcha question, he has the right answers. This guy, I don't know how he does what he does, Like I've said to people who don't know anything about him, have not seen the videos or anything, like if you know AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, this guy is literally 2.3.0 AOC basically.
She backs him. She backs him.
No, of course she backs him because she knows how good he is.
Yeah.
I mean, it's gonna like if he nothing happens to him, God forbid, but you know, he becomes the mayor officially, and you know, good things are coming for Americans if
at least for New York City citizens.
Well, the message that I keep hearing from people is like the Democrats need to follow his suit, but they don't want to.
No,
they want to. The younger Dems do, but the older ones don't want to. They don't want to associate.
The ones are going to die. It's the same thing that happened. You got to think. Look at this long-term trend here. The older Dems, and they're dying every year. And like more of the older Dem establishment are dying every year. Don't get me wrong. There are still younger establishment Dems in there too, like that fucking horror show Hakeem Jeffries, right? But more often than not, the younger ones are more behind AOC and Mamdani, and these are the ones that are going to take over next. So it will take some time, as will everything, but eventually these old fuckers are they're
we need some age serum for Bernie Sanders if possible. Like I'd like to, I want him to live to like 200 years old. I
cannot believe the energy that man still has.
I was listening to him on Joe. I don't normally listen to Joe Rogan's podcast, but I wanted to listen to the one he did with him, and I thought he was so good on that. He was so good. I know people aren't. I know there's a lot of people aren't fans of Joe Rogan. I totally understand, but he was so good on there, talking to him about many of the issues, and that's some. And I generally mean this. AOC should actually go on Joe Rogan podcast. She should do that. Like I know it's because she's not done it yet. And I know it's not ideal for her, but I would like to see her. I would like to see Mandami take that risk and go on that podcast because I just generally think it would break through to a lot of people out there. Why they have the
media performer the Dems have got.
Like if they want to break through, I mean, yeah, those are the ones. So, but yeah, the big beautiful.
I want to break free.
Yeah, and then obviously Donald, there was so have you guys we'll probably stop in about 10 minutes, guys, just for reference because been going to quite a bit. I hope you guys have been enjoying this conversation, and we have been reading you guys in the chat there, so we do appreciate it. I want to touch a little bit on what was happening in the Middle East with regards to Iran, and did you guys see also the documentary from Channel 4 last night?
Oh, I haven't seen that, no.
Okay. To be fair, I don't watch much telly. I don't really fan it. The last thing I watched was...
I am the same. I don't watch telly either, but I felt compelled to watch this. I would encourage you to go out of your way to find the documentary online if you online somewhere. It is an hour long. It is brutal. It's not for the faint-hearted.
What's it named?
Gaza it's Gaza hospitals in Gaza under attack. Specifically, the documentary. It's the one the BBC refused to air, but Channel 4 did.
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, I need to see it.
Yeah, you need to see it. I do recommend it, guys. And it is brutal, but it's the sad reality is, and this is the thing that really upsets me the most when I was watching that documentary, a lot of it was stuff I already knew. And that's the thing that upset me the most because it was, and not in terms of exposing it to people, but the fact that I knew about it because the likes of Al Jazeera, Middle Eastern Eye, and others out there who were reporting on this stuff. And to see some of the photos and videos, and there was a lot of photos and videos and footage that I have not seen out there that I saw. The most heartbreak, I think one of the most hardest things I saw was when they were evacuating another hospital because they're dismantling hospitals in Gaza. This is what it was all about, them dismantling and targeting doctors in Gaza specifically. One of the worst things I saw was when they were taking apart one of the hospitals and pulling people out of them. They were binding a lot of the doctors and whatnot. They binded a patient that was in one of the beds that they pulled out of the hospital on the outside, because there was someone in this bed and they literally had their hands up like this while they're in the bed, in the medic bed. And I just like, I've seen a lot of horrible things from inside Gaza. Of course, I've even seen people literally being killed with my own eyes on video footage. But seeing that, I was just like, they just have no remorse whatsoever, these people.
No, I've said, you've seen me in previous chats say that the IDF are Daleks.
They also had anonymous people. One person anonymously who worked in the IDF saying that he just couldn't believe just how, like, to them, it's almost a sport to them in the prisons of how they treat.
Yeah,
like it's
like the human safari going on in Zaporizhia in eastern Ukraine. What the Russians are doing to the Ukrainian citizens they've got under their control. It's the human safari in Ukraine, but in Gaza instead. Israelis are taking pointers off the fucking Russians.
I'm not aware of the other one, Terry. Channel 4 should air the other one. Also, what was the child who happens to be the child of Hamas soldier, apparently? I'm not aware of another documentary, Terry. You have to point out to me on Discord, sorry. But yeah, I'm sure someone will. If someone could just put the proper title of the proper title, I would appreciate it. There was also, just before we wrap up as well, Donald Trump. I don't know how real this is, but Donald Trump saying that there looks to be some kind of ceasefire possibly coming. I know it's Donald Trump, so I know massive salt, pinch of salt and whatnot. Hamas have said that they are looking at it. Israel have said that they're not agreeing to it currently. But it looks
about the Iran ceasefire as well.
Yeah, they have.
I know. Even better if Hamas had said, "We're looking at this very strongly."
I do think Donald is getting pissed off with Israel, by the way. Like, he is.
I agree.
Losing his shit with Netanyahu.
Yeah. It's that I've not watched a right lot of what's been happening over there.
Yeah.
But the more I kind from an outside looking in, it seems to be the Israeli government do far more damage to the Jewish community than what anybody else can ever do to the Jewish community. All this stuff about anti-Semitism. Let's be honest, when it comes to the Israeli government,
I mean,
the
first thing what do you think the first thing I see on the front of Al Jazeera right now? Would it surprise you if it's Israel and Gaza again?
No.
Israel has forcibly displaced more than 8% of South Gaza's Khan Yunis. 80%. And every day they say how many people have died every day from trying to get aid from the GHF, that is the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, that was set up by Israel and the US using private companies and not affiliated whatsoever with the United Nations. And its only funding is getting from the US because nobody else will fund it. They're asking people to donate towards it, even though they've literally been told that they have been ordered, allegedly, to shoot at people who get too close to the aid sites. Literally, today's one was Israel has killed more than 300 in Gaza in 48 hours. I know nobody likes talking about it, nobody likes hearing those numbers, but it's just a crippling reminder that this shit still happens.
Yeah.
Even though we try and
the continuing damage, and from my end, I have to say this: there's the continuing damage the Israelis are doing to the environment.
Yeah.
Because there were wild animals in the Gaza Strip. You might not think it, but there actually were wild animals within the Gaza Strip. And it's not just the level of bloodshed. Therefore, is so much higher than just the utterly just the heartbreaking human bloodshed. There's so much more on top of it.
Yeah, I agree, Graham. The worst thing I've ever seen, I've shared this story already, but I want to share it with you guys anyway. Share it again. The worst footage video that I've ever seen was a woman walking a bit further in front. There was a woman with a child. A child had a stick with a white flag on it, okay? And there was like a little group from behind them, Palestinians. They were just literally walking along the street. And there was this camera literally pointing to the square that they were walking across. And out of the blue, bang, and the woman just drops dead. And the child turns around screaming, running to the group. And then they all ran to try and help, and she was dead. And that was it. There was no like what was the reason? Why was she shot at? It was just one of many videos out there of like their argument every single time is, oh, we believe they may be Hamas suspects there or Hamas command center there. The same excuses over and over without providing any evidence, and it's just,
something just occurred to me that's fully related. That is directly related to this, right? You got people, the right wingers, talking about the failure of multiculturalism, or what they want. Israel is being put into practice for over 70 years, right? What they want is what Israel have been putting into practice for 70 years. You know, anti-multiculturalism, not letting the two cultures mix. Yeah, and then when they did it, they did it a little bit, but the Jews are still the ones that had the Israelis were the ones still had the power. Like the you know, it's always been a sort of untermensch sort of thing, right? Like this is what Israel want. Is exactly what the right wingers are saying about having, every culture should stick to its own niche. And I'm like, no, this is why we need multiculturalism. This is this is why right wingers love what Israel is doing. Because not only is it racist, but it is exactly what they want. It, you know, ethno states.
Yeah.
Before
we end, because I think it's to end on a bit of a down like that. We've had nearly 1 year of Labour in power. Has it been, would you say, I would like you guys to, what would you rate out of 10 Labour's first full year in power? Out of 10, how do you think that they have done? Pagan, you go first. How would you rate them as a government? And guys, give me your numbers in the chat as well, between 0 and 10.
I think at the moment, given I'm torn because I do know there's good stuff that's either already come in, good changes have already happened, but there's also bad stuff, and the bad comms really bring down any grade I want to give them. So I'd give them a 5 to 6 out of 10. Okay. I couldn't be more definite than that, but I would give a 5 to 6 out of 10.
Okay. Before you answer, Darren, I'll give mine. I would give them a 4 because the thing I would have actually gone to a 7 if it wasn't for this shambolic welfare reforms. I think because of the way it was handled, really, this for me really harmed this government and its image. The reason, apart from that, there are, for me, one positive I will say is that they've been very good on the international stage without not regarding Israel and the Middle East specifically, but in terms of support for Ukraine and how Keir Starmer is conducting himself when it comes to relationships with the EU, I think have been very good in that regard. But I think if it wasn't for the welfare, I think I would have rated it a lot higher there. So I'm going to give a 4. I see a lot of people in the chat are saying 2, 3, 2, 3. Are you guys sure you're not talking about the Conservatives there? I'm just all right. Yeah. What do you, out of 10 there, Dan? What do you think?
I was torn between 4 or 5 because we've got the employment rights bill. That's
really good.
Really good. That is brilliant. And is it the renters' rights bill? You know,
that's good.
That's a good one as well.
Yeah, and there's one or two others.
Water bill.
Yeah, the water.
They've been
That's
very
it.
good on the environment. The green energy.
Yeah. It's like if Stephen Reed is keeping one Angry Pagan happy, then he must be doing something right. Because if he was, I'm sure I'd be able to hear you from up here.
Oh, I last year I thought fucking Steve Reed was gonna was gonna backtrack on the Badger vaccination stuff, and as it turns out, no, the Badger that's now moving apace. Finally, so they've actually, while it's unannounced, they've definitely got the funding for it.
Sorry, should you say same with me or 4 then, or 5?
Yeah. I was torn between 4 or 5.
Yeah,
but I just think you look at the absolute mistakes they've made, like the winter fuel thing. You just think, what are you doing? What are you doing? It's like I get, because like when you look at it, there are reasons for it in a way, to a certain degree, isn't there? Because but they just handled it wrong. Bad comms, and this 4-point criteria that is just absolutely. As I say, I was watching it live, and then all of a sudden, Stephen Timms got up and he just comes up. And he talked about taking this clause 5 out, and you just think, really? What? Even I was sat there going, what's going on? Even I was unsure what's going on. Am I missing something and whatnot? And it took me a little bit of a while to work out what was going on. And you just think, you look. If this were a horse in a horse race, it'd have been taken round the back and shot. You know what I mean? It'd have been put down. You know, if it had been a boxer, they'd have thrown in the towel. If it had been a football manager, they'd have been down the road, gone.
Yeah.
You know, it was just an absolute mess.
Well, guys, I think we've gone long enough here. Daily Blase, Darren, thank you so much for coming along. Short notice, I really appreciate it. Guys, make sure you do check out Friday Frolics tomorrow at 5 p.m. I sadly will not be there, but you can be there. You don't have somewhere important to be, I'm sure. Yeah, so it is. And
I've got a special clip just for Reganelite. It's just
I'm sure chat will tell me all about it on Monday. That is for sure. And guys, make sure, thank you, One Angry Pagan, as well, for coming along at short notice as well. Do check out One Angry Pagan's YouTube channel as well. The links for both their channels are in the description, guys. If you want to, if you're not a subscriber to them, please consider subscribing. Also, just want to give a shout out as well to Graham Price, Power to the People. Check out his YouTube channel as well and the content he does. He does great stuff there. And of course, Dave McGuinness, our good friend up in Scotland, youtube.com/the2Davies. If you can, do check out the work that he and David Mulligan do as well. Absolutely great stuff from them as well. Also, Jow has his own YouTube channel as well. I know he's been slowly getting going as well. So do check out his YouTube channel as well, guys. If I missed any other YouTubers in the chat, point out before I end the live stream. But just quickly, just to remind you guys, I am planning to try and do another proper roundtable at the end of this month. I have not got any guests on, so if I get some, I'll get some. Obviously, I could ask these three gentlemen to come again as well, if need be. But I'll let you guys know closer to the time on it. But me and One Angry Pagan will be back again in 2 weeks' time because we have the Eco Flake show. I will be back live tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. for another good morning show. So if you guys want to join me for that, if you can get out of bed that early, come and join me before you see Graham Hughes with Morning Brew. That'd be much appreciated if you can. But if not, stay in bed and stay asleep if you want to do that as well. And thank you for those who gave super chats as well. Alliston here with 2 super chats and Steve McMahon as well. Thank you guys for them as well. But yeah, thank you all guys for coming along. Take care as always. If you can, hit the like button on your way out. That'd be greatly appreciated. And luckily the weather has cooled a little bit as well. So if you're not staying hydrated, please do, and all that stuff. Can you get Pam Bardi or Pete Hegseth on, says Counter Keith. I will send them an email, and if you ask me again in about 200 years' time, I might get a response from them on there. So
Seth would be hilarious on a live stream.
Hilarious or more frustrating, I think, would be more of the word for me. I would be tearing what's left. I'd be tearing my hair out of it.
I'd love to be on with you. I'd love to play. I'd love to mess with their heads. I could so easily mess with their heads.
No, it would just drive me insane. Anyway, guys, thanks for coming along. Take care and have a good night, everyone. Bye.
Bye.